everybody, welcome back to the channel. It feels really good to finally have a camera to motovlog with again. So if any of you have paid attention to some of the community posts, and I think in a previous video I mentioned that I got rid of my Insta360 4K edition. There's a pretty big reason for that, and I want to go over that today in this video, and then I'm going to show you guys at the end what I got to replace it with and really why. So the Insta360 let me say first and foremost, is a fantastic camera. It has really nice image stability, really good picture quality, really good colors. It was leaps and bounds ahead of the GoPro Hero 8, which was the first high-end action camera that I bought to motovlog with. The reason I say that is because the audio quality. The GoPro Hero 8 with the media mod had terrible, like absolutely terrible audio quality. And so that's why I had switched over to the Insta360 was in the hopes that it would have better audio quality, and as a matter of fact it did. I was pleasantly surprised and very happy with the audio quality on the Insta360 but the one major flaw that really kind of started to turn me off with the Insta360 is the fact that natively the camera shoots in a format called INSV, which is Insta360's basically that's their formatting, that's their own style. So you guys know formatting is, you know, MP4s, MP3s, you know, that kind of thing. MP4 is what the GoPro natively shoots in, so everything is saved as an MP4 format. Now when it comes to editing videos, that makes it very easy. You take the card out, pop it in your computer, edit your video, and you're good to go. There's an extra step to take with the Insta360. Now you can edit the Insta360 footage directly from their app in INSV format, but you don't get the flexibility that a lot of people want and need that you get with like Adobe Premiere or what I use, which is LumaFusion on my iPad. And in order to edit a video from the Insta360, the media has to be converted from INSV to MP4, and the way that you do that is one of two ways. You either put your SD card in the computer, and Adobe Premiere Pro actually has something built in on PC that will automatically convert your video for you to MP4 so that you can edit it. The other way, which if you're using an iPad with LumaFusion like I do, or you're using iMovie on your iPad, something like that, what you have to do is you have to open your Insta360 app, connect to your camera, and then download each video onto your iPad, which automatically converts them into an MP4, and then you're able to upload. Now, here's the fatal flaw. Downloading something at, you know, 2.7K, even 4K, it doesn't really matter. Even at 1080p, it takes a pretty long time. But the larger the file, you know, obviously the longer it takes in general, but for me, it could take upwards of over an hour, maybe even 2, to download every clip I would need from the day of shooting. Because you're talking about taking, you know, 16 to however many gigs you shot. It could be, you know, 32 gigs, depending on how long you shot for and at what resolution you shot in. So to download it to your iPad takes forever. And on top of that, every once in a while, downloading it onto my iPad, it would fail on the first try. I'm not really sure why, but you have to start the download all over again if it fails. And you wouldn't know that it failed because it would wait all the way till 99%, and then it would just say suddenly, download failed, please try again. And it has to start from the very beginning. It's not like it just picks back up from wherever the download might have failed at. It doesn't remember that. So then you have to sit there and wait for another couple of hours to download a file that should have been done the first time. So that in and of itself was the fatal flaw of the Insta360 for me. It just, in my situation, it just was not going to be the most beneficial thing for me. Having to format all of my videos into MP4 before being able to edit them was just a huge hindrance. So that's why I ended up getting rid of the Insta360. It's not that it's a bad camera. I just don't like the fact that you couldn't natively record an MP4. Now, let me say this with a disclaimer, because I know people might mention this in the comment section. You can shoot an MP4 format on the Insta360 after they released an update. Now, with that update, you're limited to certain resolutions and certain frame rates. You can't use every single format that the camera can shoot in. I think you're locked at like 4K at 60, 1080p at 120, and I think you can do 2.7K at 60, I'm not sure. But you only get a handful of the resolutions and the frame rates. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why didn't you just shoot an MP4 then? I did several times. And just like now when I'm doing a motovlog, you know, going from work to my house or something like that, every time I would get to my destination, I'd try to stop the camera and the camera would not stop recording. It would just stop responding to me. So I would have to remove the battery in order to get the camera to turn off. And I noticed that the camera got significantly hotter when recording an MP format as well. Once you unplug the battery, you lose everything. So I never had one successful attempt at recording an MP4 format that I got to my destination and my video would actually save. So I never even got to take use of it because it just didn't work. Now I'm sure Insta360 is going to get enough complaints about this that it's going to start to get patched and it's going to start to get repaired, and that's great, but I had enough. I just wanted to motovlog, and I wanted to motovlog reliably. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pick this up at the house and show you guys what camera I decided to get and why I think to date this is the best camera for motovloggers. There's absolutely no better alternative in my opinion.
Alright guys, so like I said, surprise, here we are in the garage. This is none other than the GoPro Hero 4 Black Edition. So in my opinion, this is the best camera that you can buy on the market today for motovlogging. Now the GoPro Hero 4 Black may have come out in 2014, but it still shoots 4K at up to 30 frames per second. It does 2.7K at up to 60 frames per second. It does 1080p up to 120 frames per second. All the shots that you guys saw earlier today on board the motorcycle were shot in 1080p, 60 frames per second in Super View. And I don't know what it is, but the Super View on the GoPro Hero 4 Black looks way better than ultra wide on the newer GoPros. I feel like the Super View catches so much more footage than the new ultra wide that's on the GoPros. Now I got my Hero 4 Black off of eBay for a whopping $55. Obviously it's a used camera. You can't really buy these things brand new anymore unless you just find some old stock laying around. And they're actually pretty costly if you want to try to buy them brand new. I've seen them going for about $250 brand new in the box, and I've actually seen them certified refurbed for about $150. Now some things that the Hero 4 Black is going to lack over a lot of the newer action cameras are things like 4K 60 frames per second, HDR capabilities, live streaming, and also, which might seem really important, is electronic image stabilization. So all that new technology, hyper smooth, rock steady, all that stuff that these newer action cameras come with nowadays, the GoPro Hero 4 Black does not have. Now in my opinion, this isn't very important when it comes to motovlogging because your camera's mounted to your helmet and your helmet actually acts very well to help stabilize video. And in my opinion, you actually get a much more natural movement and feel of speed when you don't have that electronic image stabilization. Yes, it's really nice to have these really cinematic, smooth, gimbal-like shots, but when it comes to motovlogging, in my opinion, the sense of speed and the sense of, stability of the ride is hindered when you're using electronic image stabilization. I feel like the ride looks and feels faster to the viewer when you don't have it. So really it's not a missed feature for me. Now everything you saw earlier today was shot in 1080p, 60 frames per second in Super View. And honestly, the footage looks absolutely stunning. Now here's another reason that I think the GoPro Hero 4 Black is absolutely the best camera to pick up on the market today. Like I said, the camera, $55. Only came with the camera, the charging cable, and the battery. And the battery is actually performing very, very well. It's giving me about an hour's record time. So that's pretty decent and on par with today's standards. You can always pick up backup batteries for very cheap for this camera. I already own the purple Panda lavalier mic, which came with the microphone adapter. And the other great thing about this camera, speaking of the adapter, is that it doesn't require a large, huge, expensive adapter. It's literally just a mini USB that goes into a microphone port. And I have an extra one here just to show you. So there is the mini USB, and it just goes into a microphone port. The newer GoPro right after this, the Hero 5, the 6, the 7, and even the 8 can all utilize this one adapter from GoPro that came out for the Hero 5 and 6 and 7. That's pretty expensive. I think it's about $50. You don't need it, not for this camera. And then the newer GoPros, the 8 and the 9, now have the media mod, which is $80. So if you want to use an external microphone, you're looking at $50 to $80. Instead of buying a purple Panda lavalier mic, having your adapter included, all for $35. Microphone, adapter, dead cat, everything in the package, $35, and it works directly with the Hero 4. That is a great cost savings. Now, I already owned the purple Panda lavalier mic. The only other things I had to pick up was this case, which cost me $12 on eBay, and also this arm with the mount. I picked that up on Amazon as well for another $12. So all in all, I did the calculations. If you needed to buy the camera, the microphone, the mount, and the case, it would cost you $112 to start motovlogging today with the quality and dependability of the GoPro Hero 4 Black. After this camera, I really feel like GoPro started sliding downhill. I was never a fan of the newer cameras. I didn't like the bulky adapters. I always had issues with like my Hero 8 where I would lose a lot of content because the camera would freeze, especially after having to use it with the media mod. Something about the media mod just made that camera absolutely crazy. It did not like its own accessory. It would just make the camera act like it had a mind of its own. Also, the audio quality was very terrible with the media mod. There was a lot of microphone peaking and popping, which I explained to you guys in some previous videos. That's why I had picked up the Insta360 ONE R 4K edition, because not only was the camera cheaper, but the microphone adapter was only $10 for the Insta360 ONE R. Now that solved all of my audio issues, but like I said in the video already, the INSV formatting for the Insta360 really frustrated me. Having to download the files to my iPad so that they would convert into MP4 format before I could edit them was just way too timely. And then on top of that, once they added MP4 recording, it never worked for me. Just too many bugs and too many hassles. This camera already has pretty much all the bugs worked out. It's fully updated. It shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second. I'm going to use it in 1080p 60 frames with the Super View. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I might try 4K in the future, but honestly, I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference, especially for YouTube at this current time. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. If you're looking to get into motovlogging and you want to get in cheaply but reliably with great quality audio and visuals, the GoPro Hero 4 Black is not a camera that you need to overlook. Pick one of these up. I guarantee you that you will not be disappointed. If you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section. Leave a like on the video. And as always, guys, please subscribe if you're not already. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.